Hi, I'm Phil from Driftworks, this is my buddy Jay, and this is the original OG S15 that we bought back earlier this year. So, we did a bit on it when we got it back, and we found some issues with the engine, with the bearings in the engine. Everything else looked seemingly okay, but we needed some new bearings for it, and ACL have very kindly sent us a new set of standard size mains and rod bearings, which means that Jay gets to get covered in oil again.
Well,
nice
hopefully
hat, bro.
Thanks. Hopefully it's finished dripping. It's been a couple of months.
It has, and we've left it with the oil pan off on one of our storage ramps back here. So, yeah, there was a nice little pond at the top there, but yeah, we should be able to crack on now, get that done. Other plans are we're going to pull the gearbox out of it. It's got a V160 or 161, I can never remember. We're going to pull that out and get that inspected. Maybe reconditioned if required, or maybe we'll just sell it as is. But the idea is we're going to stick a quaif sequential in this. Also, we're planning on having a look at what's required to convert it back to right-hand drive. So yeah, not sure if you're familiar with the story, but this car went to Greece for many years of its life, and yeah, has been left-hand drive converted. So lots to sort there. Our buddy Dan Joyce has already donated a dash to the cause, but we need steering column, steering rack, many other bits. So we'll find out as we go.
It's just like F1 on a dirty old rag. It's a bit like everybody does E90 M3s, isn't it? You know,
including us.
Yeah, but it's how everyone does. No one takes the engine out.
No, we're just posting the top ones up in the mains, obviously.
Yeah, I mean we've only done one, and that's what came out. If you can get in there, they're just a bit scored, aren't they? That one wasn't as bad as the first one, to be fair. At least with these engines, you can't get the top and bottom backwards like you can on an M3 because the top bearings have oil holes in them.
Sweet.
So
no fear, so like we know what we're doing.
I mean, slight fear, because there's always fear when you take bearing caps off in one.
We're doing it all properly, you know. Like you say, we've got a perfectly clean bench. We've actually got the correct slime. We're going to do the correct torque. It's all going to be working fine in no time. And also, like I said before, the most important thing is because we left it so long with the oil pan off, it's not dripping on your head anymore.
No, it's much more pleasant.
More importantly, never mind your head, it's not dripping on the lens of this camera that I must have cleaned, I don't know, 250 times with the oil that dripped in it. Yeah. It keeps coming out because it's got one of those shutters that closes it, and that's full of oil. And then, so it closes it, wipes oil all over the lens, and then, yeah, you do the same party again and again and again. Hello, mate.
All right.
All right. A little bit more. A little tiny bit more, and stop.
Right.
So what we're doing is obviously, you know, we weren't able to get the front main bearing out like we were planning on. So we just started investigating, pulling stuff off. It's all a steep learning curve of remembering how JZs work. But,
they're very similar to 4-rag on the front.
which is good to know. And at what point do we just go, just take the bloody thing out?
Well, we've got to take the gearbox out.
I know, so should we just do it?
I mean, it's the right way to do it, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, let's just do it.
Cool.
Right.
Okay. What have you done?
It's stuck.
Is it coming in? Okay. Oh, now. Is the magic touch? Put some weight on the front.
Yeah, if you do that second.
Yeah, it's pretty well balanced. Oh, it's easy as that. And there we go. Separated. I'm not sure what has happened here. Can't remember whether that was something that happened to me or not. Looks like it's still got a bit of a crack there. So I don't remember exploding a clutch or flywheel in this, but also it appears to have the second carbonetics clutch of mine. So had one lasted for ages, fitted another one, and that appears to be this. I'm not really sure what to do, whether we're going to go, because we're going to change to quaif sequential. You generally change to an LS style input shaft for the gearbox, so I don't know, maybe we'll see whether we can do an extreme clutch or something like we sell loads of and like we use in our R32 Skyline. We're obviously just looking at what bits we need to convert it to right-hand drive while we're in here. We've got a lot of stuff to deal with things like hoses, replacing all of the fuel hoses, probably rerouting them a different way. There's just absolutely loads of complex shit just for a change.
It's gonna be a long bit of film.
Only had to chisel one out.
Let's see what stage it's in.
Say?
It's Greek. Tomato.
I'll let you do that. Mr. Two Hands.
I'll drop it on the floor.
Yeah. Keep them in the right order, yeah.
That looks cheap.
it was, I think it was about £3.5 grand about 15 years ago.
Can't get them anymore, can
I
you?
don't think so.
We've got some bits for one over there.
The things have to last a long time.
It took so much abuse as
And
well.
you have got to lie under the car at meetings changing bloody clutches.
We got Dino Talk in the house for the real deal. Reminiscing with us.
Yeah.
While Jay rounds these LPs.
I'll probably explode the socket to be honest. Nothing like a chrome socket on a chrome adapter to the big gun.
Oh, we've done it. For my time, this one really, wow.
I think you ended up doing a bit on it.
I did do
didn't you?
little bits.
Yeah.
You were building this when I first sort of met you really.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
old unit, so
Yeah. Way back in the
many
day.
moons ago.
Oh, we were still in the old unit, weren't we?
Yeah.
Were you in your old unit as well?
Yes.
Right.
Initially, yeah.
That's how I met Craig. He re-tapped
An S14 vehicle. Or
these.
was it these?
Yeah, R34 GTR Brembos.
Well, I was at the old unit then, so that's over 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Over 8.
When did this car get delivered? Was it 06?
Yes.
At the very end of
06.
2006?
Yeah.
Wow.
And started the build.
7.
It must have been the end of 6 actually.
Yeah, I bet he took it apart.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It really has. Good to have it back.
Welcome back. I've spent a bit of time this morning stripping the engine down. I've got the crank out. You can see down here, this is the bearing that I managed to change last week. The rest of them are still in there. I've just got to flick them out, but nothing looks particularly terrible in there. But this has made life much easier. Again, the rod bearings, nothing particularly terrible about them, but nice to have new ones from ACL. So let's get these flicked in. Beautiful. Time to give them a bit of the goo. Don't know how long it's going to be till this engine runs, so this stuff is like super sticky oil. Should keep things protected anyway on the first start up. Beautiful. Just resetting the thrust bearings there. Got to be really careful not to lose those, or you're in a world of trouble. Because our engine's already fitted with ARP hardware on the mains and the rod bolts, we're able to reuse them. You still have to use the assembly lubricant to get the correct torque, and all the details are on the ARP website, so it's pretty straightforward. Ready to torque. Just check that it's rotating freely. Beautiful. With the crank and the rods back in, it's just time basically to put it back together. I was a bit worried about using the old rear main seal because they're a bit of a pig if they start leaking. You know, you've got to take the gearbox off, best case, to fix the thing. But I've just been round to see old man Taylor and he's only whipped a brand new genuine one out of his drawer. So I was quickly going to tap that in or destroy two and have no seals. You know, that's the other option. As we're still waiting for the oil pump to turn up, hopefully it'll be here today and I can finish this job. I think it's time to sort this mess out. Let's see what's going on with it. Yummy. That's the goo cleaned off. I tried to prep it for welding, but Craig's face wasn't that impressed, so...
It went like this.
What am I going to do with that? Was his exact words.
I mean, he's kind of right. It's a bit of a mess, and it will have all like gone in, impregnated it, and it'll be a disaster to weld.
So what we're going to do is get a tight 90, or as tight a 90 as you can, because it seems a cast one's hard to get in 38 or 40 mil, and remake that, I suppose. And
obviously, Jay comes in, shows me that, and he's like, "This is a bit like not good, but also the radiator is a bit not good, and this is a bit not good." And we're like going, well, we could just start, you know, we could just get a new radiator, we could redo that pipe, we could do, and it's just like, stop!
Let's just get it running.
Yeah, because literally if we go down that path, we're talking probably months, maybe a year, maybe more, looking at how it went with Vitten.
Yeah, let's just get this one back together, I guess.
So it's going to be put back together. It's going to still look a bit of a state in many ways, but we're going to do the important bits and maybe revisit stuff as we go, who knows. But yeah, for now, got some bits that allow us to move forward.
Over a few night parts from...
Yeah,
we would say Japan, but...
Over 5 night parts from UK.
Devon.
Yeah, but from Devon. Yeah, JDM Garage has sent over some bits and pieces. So, standard new oil pump, new bolt for the crank.
Because ours was chiselled.
Yeah, a D-Max steering rack, which is apparently the best option nowadays. It's a brand new rack, essentially. But that's big money. I'm used to spending like 20 quid on these things, but... Well, I'm used to spending, I think that was 400 and something quid. I've bought multiple low mileage S14As.
Cars?
For less than that.
Yeah, cars.
Including the SR20. They're crashed up front car and a crashed up on the rear car. But yeah, complete cars, full drive train, everything working, just, you know, the body shell needing a bit of work for less than that steering rack. And that's how sad things have got.
What a depressing time to be alive.
This bit here, right-hand drive, S15 steering column. So
cool.
That will allow us to start the journey of working out what other stuff we need to get this car back
to
right-hand drive.
We weren't quite sure what we were going to do with the pedals, were we? So
Nah.
we figured we'd get the steering in and then figure the pedals out after.
Yeah, I generally don't really like pedal boxes, but it might be the answer. Because I can't remember what the limitations were in terms of the transmission tunnel for
I
that.
seem to remember some sort of custom bracket on the clutch.
For the clutch alone,
Yeah.
I think, but yeah. We'll have to investigate as we go, but this will allow us to start at least. Most importantly though, we can get the engine back together with new bearings, you know, sealed up, and whether it goes back in today or not, that doesn't matter. It'll just be one thing.
No, I think we do the right hand drive bits before we put the engine in.
I think so.
Yeah. Very nearly made a pretty stupid mistake. Old oil pump, oil seal. New oil pump doesn't come with oil seal. And I'd already put that pulley on so I couldn't see, but I checked back on the camera and realised, so you know, safe so far. I need to go down to the back of the workshop now and have a look through all the old JZ stuff and see if we've got one. There's a chance. Right in the back corner, this is the JZ zone. I might have to dig a little bit to get to it. I think there's a block down there and all sorts. There's a Toyota box. Right, be good to me, Toyota box. Oh, what have we got here? No, they look like cam seals. What are you? You look fairly promising. I'm going to check the part number of that. Oh, genuine Toyota front crankshaft. crankshaft seal. Perfect. We can proceed. Put some icing on this cake then. Fancy belt. I mean, it still says Gates on it, so I guess you're just paying for purple. But I mean, it is quite fancy, and we used to run them back in the day. Let's time this thing up. After putting it all back together, and then trying to put the front pulley on, or putting the front pulley on, you'll see what I mean here. With the timing marks lined up, the top dead centre mark is over here, which isn't right. After speaking to Martin, it's possible that the timing star on the back here has slipped on the gear. He thinks it's a bit of a thing that they do, so I'm going to take it apart again. If it has slipped, line it back up, or just for safety, get Craig to put a couple of tack welds on it so it can't move. Right, that should hold that now. Time to try again. Right, back in business. Lined up here, lined up here, lined up here, and then that now looks to be sitting at least somewhere over the cover, so hopefully that will line up when I've got the cover on and we're in business. Now the engine's back in one piece, it's time to start having a look at the right-hand drive conversion. So we've got the new rack.
Did you know we are the main UK Wisefab distributor? We work with them on our Geomasters, and we have lots of Wisefab in stock. What can I help you with, sir?
Steering rack relocation on S-body.
Here we go. Here is the Wisefab steering rack relocation kit you require.
You're so embarrassing.
It's so
What are you doing?
trying to do YouTube. Isn't this the YouTube thing? Also, while you're on our shop buying Wisefab, buy some new merch, because we've got these back in. Support the channel, support Driftworks, and buy some merch.
This is the next bit. It's a Wisefab steering rack relocation kit. I believe it moves the rack forwards, removes the use of offset rack spaces on the tie rod ends. So you know about as much as this as me at the moment. So I'm going to open it up, see if there's any instructions, and figure out what I've got to do with it. That's everything unboxed. I've had a quick look through the instructions. It's very good instructions, to be fair. It's got templates in the back which I need to cut out, which mark out the original subframe to where I need to cut to slot this in. It's got the main bracket piece here, all the fixings, a little extension for the steering column because the rack moves a bit further away. And these two pieces look like a brace to stop the subframe from warping while you're welding it, which is a nice touch. Guess I'll get back on with stripping that bit down. I've spent a bit of time cutting out all the templates. It's as simple as line them up on the piece and draw around them. And eventually you end up with a cut line all the way around. So I'll double check on the instructions one more time that I've got all that in the right place, and I'll cut the thing up. Next stage is to drill these two back mounting holes out to 14mm. Let's see if I can do it one-handed, but I can't. It'd help if we had a tool that cut. 1 minute. Now then, time to start the cut. Oh, that's pretty much the piece removed. It's quite a delicate cut in this area because you're going through a couple of layers at different angles, but I'm pretty sure I've got it out. I better go and get the piece and make sure that it slides in. That's the item roughly in place. Just need to clean up a bit more of the powder coat off the subframe before we start the welding, but it looks like it's going to work out alright. This next bit is nothing to do with fitting the kit, but because we've got a fill. These are being removed because we don't use them anymore, and this one's been half hacked off in the olden days anyway, so just going to trim these back to make the thing flat before I weld this on. Fat. RIP one grinder, but I got it done. It was a bit of a mission. There we go, I'm happy with the fit now, or as happy as I'm ever going to be. That's the piece bolted in. I've just trimmed these ears off ours because normally your engine mounted go up there, but because ours doesn't need that, there was no point having a bit sticking up. On to the next bit, which is brace the thing for welding. So I'm just going to stick the jig or brace or whatever you like to call it on there, and I'll get on with tacking this in place. So I'm just going to go around the whole thing doing multiple tacks and then seam it in. The instructions say to leave this brace on while you're doing all the welding, and the 2 spacers and bolts in the mounting position, so I'll follow that as best I can. I'm fairly happy with how the welding went. There's a bit of splatter, which, you know, not that fond of. I guess it's part of MIG welding. Well, it's part of MIG welding if I do it anyway. But I'll clean this up and we'll see what I'm left with. That'll do. Oh, pretty respectable for me. Quite happy with that. I guess it's time to make sure the rack fits. It fits. Bonus. Nice thing about this kit is you don't need to worry with left and right hand drive. The kit's symmetrical, so if you want to run in left hand drive, just flip the rack round and crack on.
Fancy. And somebody having a bad day out.
Yeah, annoyingly they've done this bit quite nicely and welded a nice piece in there.
Yeah, we were hoping that was just going to be covered with a bit of silicone
punch
and plastic.
it out or something, yeah.
So no, actually got to get in there and
Grind
chew that
it
out somehow.
We're getting somewhere. Ah. There it is. Doesn't look too bad. I better tidy up a bit. That needs a bit of paint, but this side's going to need welding up, so I should probably do that before we stick the engine back in the hole.
Strong hole, that worked out well. More importantly, strong bit of welding.
We're pretty much right-hand drives, yeah? It's still got a bracket for a throttle pedal.
Yeah.
It's still got a hole for a throttle cable, but it's got a brake pipe coming through it at the moment.
Excellent. But yeah, we're trying to do things a little bit nicely while we're here and while the engine's not in place, so just going to spend a bit of time prepping that and painting it. But yeah, I'm loving your welding, mate. Loving your welding. It's proper strong work, that is. As I say, we were hoping to end this video by getting the engine back in the hole, but there's kind of no rush for that because, you know, this video is supposed to be going out today and I've got to finish editing it. So that's sort of sealed up, ready to go back in when we choose to. I'm going to throw a bit of paint on here and here. probably at the same time remove all of the stuff that goes behind the engine.
Yeah,
it's
we
just
need
not,
to change all the fuel lines anyway, and
Yeah.
I think reroute them.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want anything behind there. There is actually an access panel that we used to go through the dash and access to get to the back cylinders. But
Probably needs sealing up in case you go on fire.
we'll have a look at that down the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably about it for today. Smashing work by Jay. Obviously, he's done most of the stuff on this. It's nice to get stuck into it because it's worthy. It's such a cool thing that's sort of a big part of the history of Driftworks and us and me. So yeah, it's really nice to see work coming along on it. Thank you very much to ACL for supplying the bearings to us to get the engine back together. Thanks to Jay, as I say, for the wonderful work that he's doing. Thank you to you for subscribing and for supporting us by buying through the Driftworks shop. Go and check it out, see if there's anything you fancy in there, even if it's just t-shirts, hoodies, anything like that. We've got quite a lot of cool stuff going on in there at the moment. And then obviously the normal stuff like wheels, coilovers, BC Racing, HSD coilovers, Wisefab, as you saw in this episode. Yeah, check it out and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks guys.